We have breaking news tonight after someone was shot inside of the Cole County Jail.
We'll have a live report on that in a moment. But first, tomorrow is an ABC 17 Storm Track weather alert day that could significantly impact your holiday travel.
Tonight, ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Quick is tracking the chance of rain and damaging winds. Jess.
Yeah, it's a two-part weather alert day. First for the storms that'll move through tomorrow afternoon and evening, and for the very strong winds that'll move through after that. So we have a very strong dynamic storm system setting up. We've been talking about it for the last several days. Mentioned this last week that we would likely see rain on Tuesday. This has evolved into more of a impactful situation with storms moving through sometime after 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon through about 10. We're going to be looking for the potential for damaging winds in some of the storms and potentially a few isolated spit-up tornadoes, as the environment will be good for rotating storms, but we will be watching that for that brief window. A severe weather risk for all of us here across mid-Missouri. It's a level 2 out of 5, meaning not every single storm we see will become severe, but there is a good chance a few of them will. This storm system already posting winter storm watches here in pink off to our north, so the northern side of that storm is going to be very cold, bringing cold temperatures and quite a bit of snowfall for the upper Midwest and then back out towards the plains. We're going to be on the warmer side, meaning our temperatures are going to be pretty mild tomorrow out ahead of this cold front. You'll see starting out in the morning in the 40s, but by the afternoon we're up to around 60 degrees. And then as we head towards evening, that's when the storms start to get going. Here at around 5 o'clock, off to the west, starting to form in clusters and eventually forming into a line as we go into the rest of the evening. I'm going to stop here again at 6 o'clock. Those storms quickly moving off to the east, approaching the Highway 63 corridor, and you'll see by 8 o'clock racing off to the east, leaving us drier by around 10 o'clock in our area. But temperatures really start to drop off, and after about midnight is when those winds really start to pick up. We could see gusts between 45 and about 55 miles per hour going into early Wednesday morning. So if you're going to be out traveling, that could significantly impact you if you're going to be on the roads. It's going to be much cooler too. Our temperatures are going to be in the low 30s. Drier though if you're going to be doing any afternoon traveling before Thanksgiving on Wednesday. No problems, but it will be chilly. Those winds really start to pick up as we get into tomorrow night, only tapering off a bit as we head towards the afternoon. Wind gusts will go back down to around 30 miles per hour by late Wednesday afternoon. So our travel forecast is going to be pretty iffy tomorrow with those storms. So if you're trying to get out the door, maybe go a little bit earlier during the day tomorrow, as those storms won't develop until after around 5 or so. Gusty winds will be a problem into tomorrow night. Wednesday should be a pretty good day. We're going to have dry roads, no rain around, but by Thursday on Thanksgiving, we will likely have some rain in the forecast and potentially a few snowflakes too for some areas. So we have that weather alert day for tomorrow. It expires on Wednesday early in the afternoon as those winds start to die down. It gets colder for Wednesday and Thursday, but then by Thursday, we will have that chance for some rain that continues into the weekend. We'll break down each day of your holiday forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Now to that breaking news. Right now, the Cole County Jail is on lockdown.
The Sheriff's Department is investigating after an inmate was shot inside of the jail and taken to the hospital. ABC 17's Jasmine Ramirez joins us live from the Cole County Jail tonight.
Jasmine, no officers were involved in this shooting.
Ashley, Lucas, and I've spoken with the sheriff just in the past 2 hours. He says right now the department is trying to figure out if the inmate was shot by another inmate or if the gunshot wound was self-inflicted.
Thank God there's no life-threatening conditions, and thank God that he is okay. But now we need to figure out what happened. We got to look at our procedures. We have to look at what's going on and find out what broke down to allow a weapon inside the Cole County Jail.
Sheriff John Wheeler says the man has already been released from the hospital and is back at the jail. The department is working to find out how the gun got inside of the jail. Wheeler says the jail staff aren't even allowed to have weapons.
I've been down there for the last couple hours. I don't have a weapon. You're allowed to have a pistol. You don't have a knife.
Right now, the department is reviewing security camera footage and interviewing inmates as part of the investigation.
Anybody that had shared a cell with these individuals, so if they've been moved in the last couple of weeks, that person has to be interviewed, and then whoever that person had has to be interviewed.
And the sheriff says the interview process could be lengthy as they work to talk with anyone who came in contact with the inmate who was shot tonight. Reporting live in Jefferson City, Jasmine Ramirez, ABC 17 News.
Jasmine, thanks. Sheriff Wheeler says there are 140 inmates in the jail right now. Tonight, we're talking to police in Arizona about how they arrested a Boone County murder suspect while crossing into the U.S.
Right now, ABC 17's Barry Mangold is live at the Boone County Jail, where the accused gunman could be transported. Barry, authorities have been looking for Garland Wisely for more than 10 months now.
Yeah, Lucas, Ashley, back in January, the Boone County Sheriff's Department named 60-year-old Garland Wisely as the suspect in the shooting death of John Albers. The search appeared to be stalled for some time, but over the weekend, Wisely was arrested while attempting to return from an international escape. It was almost a harrowing escape until Saturday morning. San Luis, Arizona police say they arrested Boone County shooting suspect Garland Wisely after he identified himself at a customs stand at the U.S.-Mexico border.
He went through the normal channels through the U.S. port of entry, applied entry into the United States through the normal customs booth, and that's where he was ultimately detained.
Wisely has been wanted in Boone County ever since a deadly winter shooting at a home on Sarrazin Drive. Court documents say 4 witnesses identified Wisely as the gunman.
Mainly is the hard work, I guess, that these gentlemen from Boone County and what they did to be able to secure that warrant. Because without that, this guy would have been able to get through the port of entry without any issues.
All 4 witnesses also said that the victim, 38-year-old John Albers, was trying to talk Wisely down during an argument before the fatal gunshot. Friends of Albers say he was selfless and a good friend with an unforgettable smile. Now, it could take days, weeks, or even longer for Wisely to be transferred to the jail. That's according to Boone County Major Tom Redden. And tonight we reached out to the county prosecutor, Dan Knight, for a comment, but we did not immediately hear back. Reporting live in Boone County tonight, Barry Mangold, ABC 17 News.
All right, Barry, thank you. Wisely is also charged in Callaway County for allegedly possessing meth back in 2017.
The lawyer for a husband of a missing Columbia woman wants to speed up the legal process. Joseph Elledge's attorney has asked to skip a preliminary hearing tomorrow and then go straight to the circuit court the same day. He's charged with child abuse after police said they found evidence of it while they searched for his wife, Mungshee Elledge. Mungshee's been missing since at least last month. Police asked landowners and hunters earlier this month in rural areas to check their hunting cameras for anything that looks unusual or out of place. Anyone with information about Mungshee is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 875-TIPS. A man accused of trying to help kill an elderly Boone County couple could get sentenced next year. Jared Bears pleaded guilty today to vehicle tampering in the case. Prosecutors originally charged him with conspiracy to commit murder. Investigators say Bears agreed to help Brian Kelly try and kill his grandparents in 2017. Bears' sentencing hearing is set for January.
For this city is going to shut down if there's not somebody in that city hall December 7th. That is my opinion.
Glasgow leaders discussed recent resignations in the city at its meeting tonight. It wrapped up in the last few hours. We told you last week that the mayor, city collector, and public works superintendent all resigned. Tonight, the Board of Aldermen nominated Fred Foley to continue being mayor until a special election in April. But Foley was not at the meeting to accept the nomination and can decline. 2 medical offices on West Stadium in Jefferson City are under new management tonight. Newmark Knight Franks says it has sold its portfolio invested in Jefferson City Medical Group for just over $56 million to MB Real Estate Advisors, a private real estate investor.
Here's the latest in the ongoing coverage of the impeachment investigation. Members in both houses of Congress are promising the impeachment process will move forward after Thanksgiving.
Earlier today, Adam Schiff, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, confirmed it is putting together a report to draw up articles of impeachment. Schiff says the report conclusively shows the president violated the Constitution with quid pro quo in Ukraine.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told reporters the Senate will take up the impeachment trial if the House votes to impeach the president. McConnell said they'd prosecute, quote, because we have no choice. McConnell also said he couldn't imagine a scenario where the Senate moves to vote and remove President Trump from office. Officials in the city of Bell will hold public discussions on December 4th about whether or not to contract its police force. The Board of Aldermen will vote on December 10th on whether or not to hire the Marys County Sheriff's Department to patrol their town. That vote will not be open discussion for the public.
In an ABC 17 News crime alert, investigators are searching for 2 men accused in an overnight chase on Interstate 70 in Montgomery County. The men reportedly ran from the highway patrol near Jonesburg. There were no reported injuries when the men crashed into another car on the interstate. The highway patrol says troopers found a large amount of marijuana and money inside the men's vehicle. Jonesburg Elementary School went on a modified lockdown in connection with the incident. Investigators found a discarded gun near where the chase ended.
Just ahead on ABC 17 News at 10, where the news comes first.
We'll tell you which county's coroner is being accused of refusing to do an autopsy after a dead man's wife requested one. This despite one expert saying it's exactly the kind of case for which a coroner should perform an autopsy.
ABC 17 News investigates why a county coroner made an unprecedented mistake.
Joy Chance came to me with her experience with Miller County Coroner Tim Bradley following her husband's death. She tells me the coroner wouldn't do an autopsy on her husband, despite one expert saying it's exactly the kind of case a coroner should call for one.
They all show up.
Joy Chance wishes she could relive May 24th.
Definitely the best day of my life, though.
Her husband, Dustin, surprised her with a weekend camping trip at Majestic Oaks in Miller County. They spent the day hiking, fishing, and sitting around a campfire together. It was May 25th that the trip changed.
Had a few drinks, and then we went to bed, and I woke up and he wasn't breathing.
First responders arrived on scene around 5 in the morning. Dustin had died in the middle of the night. Joy Chance wondered how a 36-year-old with little to no medical history could suddenly pass away in the middle of the night. That's when Miller County Coroner Tim Bradley came to the campground to determine the cause of death. And Joy Chance says Bradley's work only left her more hurt and with more questions. Joy told Bradley on scene that Dustin snored and had been treated years ago for high blood pressure. Bradley put on Dustin's death certificate that he died from undiagnosed sleep apnea. Bradley also said he wasn't going to do an autopsy, a procedure where a pathologist would test different organs to detect conditions or diseases.
So I begged for an autopsy, and he told me that he couldn't justify one because they were a poor county.
How do you think it's been handled, I guess, from the coroner's perspective of things? How do you think it's been handled?
I don't feel like it has been handled well.
Kathleen Little is the executive director of the Missouri Coroners Association. She says coroners rely on law enforcement reports and a person's medical history to come up with a cause of death. Have you ever put undiagnosed on a death certificate?
No, that was the first time. So.
And why did you do it in that case?
That was because I looked at my notes wrong, plain and simple. I thought it was that, and I was in a hurry.
Tim Bradley admits he made a mistake on the cause of death. Once we started asking questions, Bradley asked the state to change the cause of death to hypertension. Are you even sure that hypertension is what causes death?
I'm fairly sure, yeah.
Fairly sure.
Because he also had the history of alcohol abuse. One of the side effects of that is hypertension.
He says he usually calls for an autopsy if he believes something criminal led to the person's death. In Dustin's case, he didn't think that happened. Little says an autopsy can get a coroner and a family answers about the death. Pathologists may find diseases or conditions coroners can't see. Those conditions could be genetic, and an autopsy may help family members know if they're at risk.
When someone suddenly dies unexpectedly, you have no medical records or, information to back up a diagnosis, then, you want to give the family answers.
Bradley says he worries about the cost of autopsies to the county. Miller County budgets for 3 autopsies a year. Records we obtained show the county had paid for its 3rd autopsy on May 24th, a day before Dustin's death. Since then, though, it's paid for 4 more autopsies, now costing the county $12,000.
I don't think that anyone should put a price tag on what it costs to get family answers in the worst situation of their life.
If I had more money budgeted, I'd probably, order more autopsies, without a doubt.
And you think Dustin would have been one of them?
He might have been, yeah.
Joy says not having an autopsy has left her confused. Bradley's decision to change the cause of death doesn't comfort her either.
He doesn't understand how it feels of not knowing how he died, and every day wondering if you could have gotten him up sooner, if things would have been different. And I don't think it's right that he got to make that decision.
Bradley says the situation has led to his office making some changes.
I don't care how hard of a time or how big of a fight I end up getting into, anybody under the age of 40 will get an autopsy. I know I've got to be responsible, but at the same time, I'm not going to put somebody else through this. I'm not going to take the chance.
There are few state laws dictating when a coroner must get an autopsy. It's only required when a child under 1 year old dies. Now, both Bradley, Little, and Chance all agreed some state guidance would be helpful to handle situations like Joy Chance's.
We have an ABC 17 storm track weather alert day tomorrow. I'll be tracking the chance for some strong storms and also very gusty winds by tomorrow night. So we have a lot to track with Thanksgiving too. We will have a chance for some rain and possibly a few snow showers too in the morning. But we'll focus on the short term here as we'll be tracking temperatures warming up again tomorrow. It's very mild right now. No problems as you're getting out the door, but that will change into the evening as we'll be getting up to around 60 degrees in the afternoon. That storm chance will increase tomorrow night ahead of this strong system on the northern side. There are already winter storm watches in place where we're expecting heavy snow, but on our side of that, where we are in the warmer air, likely going to see some thunderstorms into tomorrow evening. This is the storm timing, expecting storms to start firing up after around 4 or 5 o'clock across western Missouri, and then closely moving into mid-Missouri here as we get around 6 o'clock. That's when it'll approach the Highway 63 corridor between 6 and 7, and eventually quickly moving to the east after that. And storms are going to be moving very fast, anywhere from 50 or 60 miles per hour, because our low-level winds will be very strong tomorrow. Our severe weather threats will likely be damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and potentially an isolated tornado, as we will be watching for some rotating storms. Our environment will be pretty good for that tomorrow. So be aware that could be happening tomorrow evening. Beyond that, I'll be tracking some very gusty winds in the wake of that storm going into Wednesday morning. Wednesday looks like a dry day for travel, but notice here by Thursday, our next storm system right on its heels. We will have some colder air in place on Thursday morning, and there is a chance we could see some snow showers before rain starts to filter in. It does look like we will be on a more southern side of this system, meaning we'll likely see more rain throughout the afternoon with this. And as it moves through, not going to be seeing any accumulation as far as snow goes. Definitely going to be a chilly night on Thursday, so we'll have to watch for any slick spots, but for the most part, drying out for Thanksgiving night. Rain starts to move back in by Friday, so it is going to be a soggy holiday weekend, but temperatures on Friday will be near 50, so no wintry weather to worry about. And that looks like it is going to start tapering off as we get into Saturday morning, but behind that, we start to get colder again, and it does look like our pattern is going to stay cold going into the first week of December. And I wanted to show you this as well. With those gusty winds tomorrow, we could see wind chills on Wednesday morning all the way down into the teens in some spots. So it is going to be a big chill once those winds come through, feeling like around 17 to about 22 degrees in the morning and only feeling like the low 30s during the day on Wednesday. Thanksgiving will be chilly as well with that chance for precipitation. By noon, we're only up to 36 degrees, and then by 2 o'clock, the high around 40 or so to do it for our Thanksgiving day. The weekend does look warmer. On Friday, we'll be around 50, warming up into the mid-50s by Saturday with that rain moving out. Then by Sunday, it's cool. We're a lot colder. We're back down to around 43, and into the next couple of weeks, or at least the next week and a half or so, we're expecting below average temperatures again. So we will mention this in our winter weather outlook tomorrow, talking about how our pattern's going to shape up, and it does look like we're going to have a lot of these ups and downs with our temperatures this winter.
All right, thanks for tracking it, Jessica.
We're going to tell you under what circumstances one Columbia lawyer says the homeowners might be held legally responsible after an incident like a recent Columbia shooting.
After a weekend shooting in Columbia, some neighbors are asking whom they should hold responsible.
Columbia police responded to the 2500 block of Shepherd Boulevard Friday, where one person was shot. Well, neighbors told ABC 17 News it happened at a party that was thrown by Rockbridge High School students. One civil attorney says the homeowners could be held civilly responsible if the house had frequent issues or if the gun used were from their home. Police have not released any information about the shooter. A Jefferson City man now faces a second charge of making a terrorist threat.
Brian Groner is accused of using an email, thenextmassshooter@gmail.com, earlier this month to create a new bank account. The prosecutor's office charged him last week after an employee of the bank reported the email account to their bosses. Groner was also charged in August with making a terrorist threat. He's accused of posting on Facebook about wanting to be a mass shooter. We'll be right back after this.
Sports Zone starts now. Sponsored by U.S. Cellular.
2 years ago, the Conzo Martin era began at the Sprint Center against Kansas. Tonight, the Tigers return to the Sprint Center in Kansas City for the Hall of Fame Classic. Mizzou is taking on undefeated Butler. Its toughest test of the season, or it's them or Xavier. Both tough tests. Mizzou had a good start. 3 from Kobe Brown. The freshman puts the Tigers up 3-0. The start, though, was all downhill from there. Mizzou down now 25-7. Mark Smith hits a corner 3, but saved that one, screenshot it, whatever, because that was the only basket he had all night. Tigers down 15. Later in the first half, Mizzou down 11, trying to close the gap. Xavier Pinson to Trey Jackson for the two-handed dunk. Tigers still down 29-16. Later in the half, Parker Brown has made an impact lately in the past few games. Passes inside to Drew Smith, who was Mizzou's best player by far all night. The Tigers down 12, though, at the half. Second half, Mizzou down 10. Pinson trying to bring some life into the building for the Mizzou side of things, and passes inside to Mitchell Smith for the wide open dunk. He's fired up. And then Kobe Brown, not a bad night for the freshman, making a play on the defensive side. The steal and the flush on the other end. Mizzou trailing by 10, though, at that point. Too much from Butler in this one. The Bulldogs are undefeated for a reason. A dunk inside here to put the nail in the coffin as the Tigers lost 63-52. Mizzou falls to 4-2 on the season. Drew Smith did all he could with game-high 19 points. However, you just flat out aren't going to win games when Jeremiah Tillman and Mark Smith combine for 4 points. The Tigers know they have a lot of work to do.
They were moving the ball well. They were slipping out of a lot of their screens and stuff, and it was something that we had talked about, but it was something that we didn't handle very well there in those first 8 minutes. They got a lot of wide open shots, and they shot a very high percentage on them in the first half.
I feel like we dug ourselves a hole early in the game, and it's hard to win when you dig yourself that big of a hole in the start of a game. We just got to do better at executing and staying disciplined.
You have to get past it as fast as you can. It's over with. Get past it. It'll sting. Learn from it, but you have to get past it.
So Mizzou moves to 4-2 on the season. Up next, the Tigers have a short turnaround. They'll play in the consolation game at 6 p.m. tomorrow night. But for now, reporting from the Sprint Center, Andrew Kaufman, ABC 17 Sports.
The Mizzou football team is gearing up for its game against Arkansas on Friday at 1:30 p.m. The Tigers need a win in order to be bowl eligible. The NCAA still has not given an answer on the appeal just yet. For the players, the Battle Line rivalry is, well, just a rivalry in name.
It just kind of happened that way, I think, just because we had to have a rival coming in SEC. But I don't really look at it like that. I mean, there's a trophy and everything, but I think it's just another game.
And in the NHL, the St. Louis Blues lost to the Nashville Predators in a shootout, 3-2. Jessica will have a look at your forecast in just a moment.
We have a weather alert day in effect tomorrow through Wednesday about noon. We'll be tracking a chance for some strong storms tomorrow. We'll watch for some of those to bring some gusty winds and possibly an isolated spin-up tornado, too. We'll have the right ingredients for that. Storms will start to move through late afternoon to about 10 o'clock tomorrow night, leaving us with really gusty winds going into Wednesday morning. Could see up to 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts with that. So could impact your travel in the morning, but the rest of the day looks dry. We have some rain moving in for Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks for being with us.
Kimmel's next.
Have a good night.